live stream penciling and inking this morning. Thanks for joining. As always, I appreciate your support and interest. I just gotta take a look at a couple things here, make sure everything is the way it should be. All right. Actually looks pretty decent. So if you're joining on Instagram, welcome. Unfortunately, I cannot read any of the chats from Instagram. But I am streaming there and at YouTube and on Twitch. Nope. That's not what I wanted. I was trying to see if I could see the stream on my Instagram. But it doesn't look like I can see it. Oh well. Anyway, I started on this during my Whatnot show last night. By the way, you can find me on Whatnot. My username is Beyond Forward Art, and I'm doing the live shows, live auctions every Monday at 7 p.m. to 8. I gotta go grab my pencil. All right. Basically just refining this art, give you a little preview. Look and see if I have audio. Trying to look on my stream manager for a second. All right. Where's my pencil sharpener? This one will probably go up for sale on my eBay store. Do have another show coming up February, but I kind of doubt this one will still be in my possession by then. Hey Matt, good morning. glad to see you could stop in. I'm going to change kind of the flow of her sash, her disco sash. It's the best way I can describe it. Her costume is a little disco looking. Yeah, we're not getting much rain here. I think our rainy season is pretty much done. It's a little drizzly this morning. The Whatnot shows are pretty interesting. I've been following some other artists, and from what I'm reading, you really have to be consistent. That's like the best way to sell, is just to start a consistent live show schedule, and it takes a while to build up a following there. So I'm going to do that. I'm just, it's an hour out of my Monday evening. I think I can do that. It does get a little harder to draw in the evening because I've already worked a full day, and then to sit down and draw is getting. I got to get used to that. But it's only for an hour. Actually, I think I'm gonna do my little social media post, which I've neglected to do for a while. Let's see, I got Instagram, I got Facebook, Blue Sky. I tend to forget about Blue Sky, but there are a lot of creators there. Twitch.tv, Beyond Forward. All right. Can't say that I'm a huge fan of social media. It's I kind of have to do it just to promote my work and try to connect with fans and make new fans and all that stuff. But I do miss the days before the internet. I guess I'm showing my age, but I don't know. I kind of miss it. I kind of miss that not having to be connected to your phone all the time. And I think we're definitely missing out on some things by being constantly plugged in. I try to take Sundays off the internet. It doesn't always work, but I do try to disconnect one day out of the week as much as I can. And I do have some limitations set for my kids, which they don't love, but I think it's good for them to also disconnect once in a while. Try to get some flames here. I was talking about Dark Phoenix and the whole Dark Phoenix saga, that story arc, and how impactful that was to fans and really for creators at that time. It really did kind of herald a big shift in the way writers were considering stories and thinking, okay, this is what they did, so there are a lot of other things that happened around that time. There was the Death of Captain Marvel graphic novel, which was also a very kind of a more sophisticated view of the X-Men as far as the way it was drawn and written, and there was also the X-Men graphic novel God Loves, Man Kills, which was along the same vein. Just more mature subject matter, just dealing with... That story really dealt with racism in a very... Probably the first overt treatment, in writing about that. The X-Men were always kind of a allegory to the civil rights movement in the 60s, and then later, I think, kind of a signpost for like gay rights, and so there's a lot of things that the X-Men have really touched upon, but I'm not sure I like the way that hair is it's a little too curly. I want it to look more like fire. Anyway, the X-Men comics, they weren't heavy-handed. It was very, a very watered down kind of message. It was never anything that was too risky, so to speak, for Marvel. But the God Loves, Man Kills graphic novel was just very, very blatant, message about racism and That's a great book. Anyway, those comics were also very important to me as a young, aspiring, possibly, considering the idea of getting into comics as a career as a teenager. It really demonstrated what was possible. Like, oh, you can do these more serious stories, and that really appealed to me. In the Dark Phoenix, that whole storyline, I didn't even. I wasn't reading comics when that came out. That was really before I got into comics, like a couple of years. And so when I started reading X-Men, that was, I think, 1983. So the Dark Phoenix thing had already happened a couple of years ago prior to that, but they were still alluding to it. They were still mentioning that story arc in their ongoing story. They had Rachel Summers, who was the daughter of Jean Grey from an alternate future timeline, and so they talked about the Dark Phoenix saga. It was in the story, and that really intrigued me because it just kind of had this legendary status, and that made it very sought after. I eventually found, I don't know, I think I had a friend in high school who had the comics. He had the run of comics. And he loaned them to me, and I read those. And he had a Index, Marvel Index. I've got the book somewhere. I don't know if I have it on my shelf. I do keep a lot of my favorite books close by, but I don't think that one is. Is there. Anyway, it's like a big perfect bound book. It's black and white. It's black and white, and I think it has a couple of color inserts. And there were 2 volumes. I think it was called Compendium, X-Men Compendium, Volume 1 and 2. And he had those. And so that was the other thing. They had these interviews with Chris Claremont and John Byrne and Terry Austin. And they talked about the Dark Phoenix story and how it came about, and so that was really intriguing also. And I think that compendium has I think it's like a Gil Kane cover, if I'm not mistaken. Now I gotta look it up because I want to revisit that. And it had copies of unused pages. There was an alternate ending where Phoenix didn't die, and they had that included in the book. They were just the pencil pages. There were, I think, 2 pages or something. So anyway, all of that was very intriguing to me. And then when I read this actual comics, it did not disappoint. It was everything I thought it would be and more. It was really just it was just completely riveting. That gradual build-up of Jean Grey turning evil and the Phoenix Force and all that stuff, and then it culminating on the moon with the Watcher. It just had such a big, just pathos. It was just such a big story and a big ending. But then the ending was kind of just this quiet thing, where she basically kills herself, sacrifices herself to spare the universe. think I'm ready to ink this. Enough of my pontificating. I've got a Batman sketch card. It's an actual sketch card comic that I'm going to finish up also after this one. I think I need to, I'm going to try to move my camera down just a little bit. I think that's better. I also remember when they brought Phoenix back. That was in, I think, 1985 or 1986. And, wow, that was a letdown. That was really... On the one hand, I was kind of okay with the idea of it, but it just seemed so contrived, and it just didn't feel very genuine. It felt more like a corporate move, you know, where they decided this character, they needed to bring her back so they can have her in the X Factor, which was the new spin-off X-Men book. And it just was very contrived. My headcanon, that did not happen, and Dark Phoenix is dead. I just think that, wow, it just really cut that story off at the knees. The impact of it. But unfortunately, that is the nature of these big intellectual properties. That you really can't do a lot with them. That really is risky, or it's a shame, because there was some really risky stuff back in even in the 60s, but in the 70s they were really pushing the boundaries. And I don't know, because I don't read Marvel or DC anymore. I've read some of the Black Label, the DC Black Label. I did pick up a few of those, and they were pretty good. I love the premise. I love the format. And I get that it's sort of the modern Vertigo. They are doing more risky things, or that's their intent. may need to get a new brush soon. This one, I'm still kind of squeezing a little more life out of it, but I think I'd like to get a new one. This one's pretty old. I need to figure out a way to view my Instagram live feed. Right now I've got my iPad set up, and I'm not sure, it might not be the same because it's not it's an iOS, I guess, technically, not an OS. That might be why. I'm going to step away for a second. I want to look at my desktop and see if I don't get tangled up in the cords. Yeah, I need to actually log into my laptop next time and have it at my desk. I'm gonna say hi to Philip. Next time, tomorrow, I'm gonna set it up a little differently because unfortunately with my iPad I can't view Instagram chats. Not on the iOS, I guess. It's a little limited. So if you are new here and you've stopped by either on Instagram or YouTube, my commission list is open right now. You can hop over to my Etsy store. There's a link there on the bottom left of the screen, and you can place an order for a commission. There's several different options to fit your budget. And it's super simple. All you have to do is place the order, just include a brief description of what you would like drawn. I can draw any character of your choice. And I'm also pretty active on Patreon. That's really where I post all of my works in progress, completed works. Members have access to my archive of art, as well as Patreon exclusive comics and posters. And that link also should pop up there on the screen if you let it rotate through. I also have my eBay store linked there as well. I am selling art from my time at Marvel, Image, Dark Horse, other publishers, original art from my publishing label, Beyond Forward, and there's also art prints for sale. Pretty wide variety of subjects. And I should mention, my art prints are cheaper, obviously, than the original art, but great thing about it is they are printed on 2-ply Bristol, which is the same paper as the original art. Very high resolution and in color, so even the black and white line art, you can see the underlying blue lines from the pencils and the template. So it looks and feels very much like the original comic art. I don't think there's many or any other creators who are offering art prints in quite the same way that I am. They sort of remind me of the artist editions, where they have these high-res scans. They're basically scans of the original art. also don't think any other comic artists are offering these custom sketch card covers. I think most of them are using the blank covers, and that's somewhat limiting because there's just only so many of those around. And so like this one, for instance, is Dark Phoenix. I created the logo, you know, the cover treatment with the X-Men logo in the corner, and you know, it's just it's a way of customizing this art. I've got a bunch. Actually, I'll show you guys. This is what I have on hand. So if you commission something, just know that I can create any logo. Boba Fett, Star Trek, Micronauts. Looking forward to doing that one. Fantastic Four, Star Wars. This is actually, I created my own sketch card comic. So this is the first issue of Star Wars, the Marvel, the one from the 70s. And this is also one I created, and it's, I think it's Fantastic Four 3. Yeah, number 3. And here's a Crisis on Infinite Earths. This is the finished one. This is a Batman sketch card. My favorite Batman logo. And a Supergirl. Batgirl. I'm gonna try to do that one at some point. Anyway, there's a bunch. Here's Shazam. So anyway, you can commission something at my Etsy store. You can also stop into my Whatnot shows. They are Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can potentially get a really good deal because they're auctions. And I think the starting bid right now for a sketch card like this is $50, which is crazy good deal. So if you're in there, you can potentially have one of these for $50. And my Whatnot, you can go to Whatnot and just search for Beyond Forward Art, and you will find my shop. I'm still learning the whole Whatnot thing. I mean, I'm still learning the live stream. I've been doing the live streams for, I guess, over a year. But the first few months were pretty clunky. I'm actually just now, feels like I'm getting a pretty decent setup as far as my cameras and the audio. Things are looking better. I think I have probably 2 or 3 editions of the Dark Phoenix saga. I'm trying to look and see what I have up here. If I have a copy of it. Oh, this was a good one. So this was not the Dark Phoenix saga, but this was the crossover book that Marvel and DC published back in, I think, 1982. and that was a pretty cool one. Has Darkseid in it. Has Dark Phoenix in it. See if I can get that back in there. Let's see who else has joined on my Instagram. Hi, the Janimal Draws. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Thanks for hopping in. Unfortunately, I can't see all of the Instagram chats from where I'm sitting, and that's something I'm planning to fix for tomorrow's show. So right now I have to turn around and look at my desktop to see the Instagram chat. Yeah, I kind of want to reread the Dark Phoenix story after inking this, drawing this. I have not read it in a long while. I was slowly going through the entire Chris Claremont run. I've got the... I have some of the comics, but a lot of it is digital. And right now I'm up to the early 90s X-Men. And those are new to me because I was not reading X-Men like in the late 80s and early 90s. So it's kind of interesting reading that stuff now. It's really crazy how much Chris Claremont wrote. I mean, he was writing X-Men, he was writing New Mutants. What else was he writing? He was writing X-Factor, I think. Or was that Bob Layton? I forget. if Chris Claremont had a hand in that or not. I would think that he did, but I could be mistaken. X Factor was pretty cool. I like the costumes. I like their uniforms. Let's get this arm. So if you're new joining, I am inking a Dark Phoenix sketch card. It's a custom sketch card that I created. I am offering these at my Etsy store. You can click on the link on the bottom left. I've got links to my Etsy store where you can commission original comic art, and I have links to my eBay store where have I think about 250 or more listings of my art from my time at Marvel and Image, Dark Horse, other publishers. It's pretty eclectic inventory of original art, so there's just a lot. And I have art prints as well for sale there. If you're new to Whatnot, which I am new to Whatnot, I have a shop there as well. You can look me up under Beyond Forward Art. I do a live auction every Monday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Pretty good deals on original art, original comic art, commissioned art. Starting bids are pretty low. I think I actually hear thunder. All right, we're just about to the finish line here of Dark Phoenix. And if you haven't yet, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my Twitch channel or Instagram or YouTube. That's where I'm live streaming Monday through Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And I'm likely to be working on either some comic book stuff, like what you're seeing, or some graphic design things, because I am a graphic designer also. There's a lot of overlap in those two fields, I've found, as far as creators who also work as designers. I've been pretty fortunate to be able to do both and continue to work in both fields. I really enjoy design. I'm very passionate about graphic design, and I love comics. I love the art form. I love the process. I love pretty much every aspect of it. Lots of fire and cosmic energy here. Alright, I think I'm going to be signing off for the morning. I will probably finish this up in the live stream tomorrow. Just depends on how my day unfolds here. So, thank you everybody who stopped in. Thank you for your support of my work. It's appreciated. I do have some pretty exciting new projects in the works that you can actually get a sneak peek of those over on my Patreon page. It's a 3-issue miniseries. It's a sequel to Saga of a Doomed Universe, which was my miniseries from 2023. and right now I have I have the first two issues finished, and I'm scheduled to start working on the third in January, which is another reason why my commission list is open right now, because I do have some bandwidth to take on some commission work. So if you're interested in that, it's very easy to order a commission over at my Etsy store. You can click on the link on the bottom left, or you can just go to Etsy and look up Beyond Forward Comics. All right, I think I'm gonna put the pen down for a while. Clean up my brush. All right, guys. Thanks again. I will be back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time to probably draw. I may be working on some design things by then. I'm really just not sure. But anyway, thank you, and I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll see you back here soon.